All right, we're here with one of the hottest mid-Atlantic jockeys, out there. Dennis Araujo. Really excited, to have you join us. Again, one of the best at Charlestown. Really my favorite track out there. But Dennis, what do you got to say to the people? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy, guy, for answer, talk, and discuss something whatever we need to.
No, let's go. And it says, I don't know all the statistics, but it says you have the most added wins at Charlestown. You've been hot lately, but before we get into horse racing, I know we were talking a little bit before the show. What are your thoughts on the World Cup? Yeah, just kind of bring us up to speed, maybe a little bit about where you're from, your upbringing, and maybe a little bit of a World Cup talk as well.
Well, I'm from Uruguay. Usually, most of the people follow the soccer as one first actually sport, and we've been pretty good in the past, and I hope this year we can be in the fight again. I hope we can get in the final or the quarterfinal. That what we did in the past, we run pretty good. So I hope Uruguay plays good this year.
Here we go. I think they maybe have Cavani. He might have been a former player, but growing up, did you play any other sports at all besides getting into the horse racing world?
Yeah, I follow the cycling a lot. It's the kind of sport that I usually practice as a hobby, and I really like it. And I've been doing this for maybe last, I don't want to lie, but maybe 15 years, something like that. So I've been following them pretty good. Yeah.
Incredible. Obviously, growing up for myself, Lance Armstrong was taking over the world. Some would say he did cheat, but did you follow Lance Armstrong's run? Were you a fan of his, or what were your thoughts of the American Lance Armstrong?
Well, I can say from that time was exactly when I start following the cycling a little bit more. And that age was only the Tour de France, and I only knew few guys, Armstrong, Pantani, some guy like that in that age. But after that, I would start getting more involved, more involved, more involved, and then discovered it was not only about the Tour de France. It's a lot of races in all year round. So in last maybe 10 years, I've been focusing more pretty much no missing any race.
Wow.
And yeah, and I've been actually, believe me or not, the cycling been impacting me, not physically, not nutritionalist too. And it's been really, really important for me, especially in the way hold for the jockey. you know, a lot of jockey most struggle with the weight, but I believe cycling hit me and made me understand something different. Like maybe some guys they don't know about nutrition, and actually it been really good, not only physically but nutritionally too, very well.
I love that. I think that's so interesting. And again, we'll talk horses, we'll talk Charlestown, we'll talk the legend Ronnie Brown. But last couple of things about cycling. Do you have a nice bike, and do you ride around Charlestown, or even is home base for you? So a couple questions in one right there.
Yeah, my home base right now is in Percival, Virginia. I am about half an hour from Charlestown. And yes, I have a couple nice bike. I do row and gravel. The most row, I like more row, and for my weight, I'm pretty good in climbing side. I'm not ready to win the Tour de France, but with the local guys, sometimes when I get group and everything, I can push myself pretty good on the climbs, and I'm very well on that.
No, I love that. And again, I just have my notes on my phone, so excuse me, if I'm looking down. But no,
No,
I
you're
think
good.
that's super interesting. What did get you into horse racing? You talk about cycling, but again, talk about your Uruguay roots. I was seeing some videos of a young Dennis out there, talking in front of the camera. It seems like they did a lot of interviews, maybe back in Uruguay when you're growing up, so maybe you're comfortable with that. But talk about your beginning and getting into horse racing and even racing back in Uruguay.
Well, I actually started because my father was a owner when I was a kid. So since I remember maybe 2, 3 years old, I was already taking picture in the winning circle. My father in that moment was having few horses that were pretty good. And how I say is, in my country, everybody wants to play soccer, because I believe in the future of the good future direction if you can play good. But I was never really good enough. My family, from my father's side, they were very good soccer player at that time. I believe my father played with Cavani's father in that past age.
Wow.
And I was never really well on the soccer. I mean, I was a guy that I was kicking the ball pretty good, but I was not strong enough. I was a little kid. I used to play in the forward position, and the defense, they were pretty big and they were beating me pretty good, and I was not really quite good. So one moment to the other, and I started riding horses between when I was 10, 12 years old, and I was showing some good abilities. And after that, when I was 16 years old, was my first race in my hometown. My second race, I won. And then after that, when I was 18, I moved to the capital and started racing the Maronas. It's one of the biggest tracks that we have. And after that was always my dream, moving forward and riding a different country and watch different perspective than what we see in our home country. And that was the part of the beginnings of everything.
I love that, and what a story, right there. But going back to when you were, 10, 12, and even 16, how do you, in your way, how do you get the ability to officially race in an official race? Does somebody just believe in you? Do you have to pass a test, or talk about kind of the qualifications that you had, or did you just believe that you could? And I guess to talk about getting into a first official race.
Well, it was in my age, in hometown, was kind of country place. It was kind of difficult, but in that moment, your parents sign a permit for you, and you can start racing pretty much country places. And in that moment was a law, and the biggest track you we will not race after you 18, because in United States you are majority under 21. At home is 18. So some law were changing later on, and I believe the kid now they can start racing also in the big track with 16 years old. But in my point, it was a little difficult, but we made it, and I think it was fun. I mean, you always have to responsibility with all jockeys give the approve to the commission and say, this kid is good. He's been working with us, racing with us, so he's ready to go.
Hey, I love that some 16-year-olds are doing, they're playing Xbox, in America, and you're ready to do an official race. I mean, I guess talk to me about maybe that young Dennis, that 16-year-old Dennis, was he risk taking, was he even smart, as a rider? Talk to me about that 16-year-old, Dennis, making his start. I mean, winning his second race, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, everything is start changing time by time when you start racing. You always when you are a kid, you wishing to race the first time. The first time you really don't know what's going on, and you just get on a horse and just send it and try to see whatever you can. Whatever's on the road. But I always want to be a really patient rider. I was never really aggressive rider, and I believe we start racing in very short races, like even 316, one quarter, something like that is the first race that I will start doing. And I was no good doing that. But when I moved to the capital, it was a bigger track. Marona has a 10 furlong track, oval. It's a little bit more than 10 furlong, but let's say like a 10 furlong. And the biggest stretch when you turn for home is 3-8 to the wire. So that was where I show my best patient, and try to come in the last part. And I was doing really good that even when I was back, and I was just trying to perfect whatever I was doing well.
That's awesome. Again, we'll talk more about your time in the States, but I'm really just interested. Last thing about the Uruguay and if that's how you say it. Racing. What was kind of the difference between those tracks and the American tracks? Was it a long stretch, short start? I guess just talk to me about the actual racetracks in Uruguay. That's really interesting.
Racing in Maronia is actually big different. I believe the only racetrack that has similitudes with Maronia is Colonial Down. Colonial Down, they run pretty close, same distance like we do. And but we also have a middle track. It's like a half an hour away from Maronia. They call Las Piedras. Las Piedras is a mile track, but it's right close to the style of American races. I wouldn't say it's the same kind, but the track design makes close to Maronas, close to American races.
Nice. So again, you were pretty much kind of prepped for American racing and kind of with that eye always, for American racing. What brought you originally, to, America, and where was your first ride at Charlestown? I guess talk about that transition, from, your way to America.
Well, before I jump in US, I was in Australia and I also did Canada. Canada, I did in Vancouver. It's in the west part of Canada, and it was a racetrack called Hastings Park. So Hastings Park was pretty much same like Timonium. That is what I learned to get better in positions, early positions, and adapt to the bull ring. For this, Charlestown was kind of good fit in that moment because I was coming from Canada and fit me in a perfect time.
And again, Canada, I was just trying to find because I was going to ask you about another track in Canada. It seemed like you did have a lot of success in Canada. I was trying to go to Hastings. They shut down. It's such a bummer when they shut down the tracks. I think there was another park. It was like Northfield or something in Canada. Can you talk to me about some of the tracks that you've ridden that have shut down, maybe that have, I don't know, just have bummed you out? Again, it's sad that Hastings has shut down. Talk about any of the tracks in Canada or any elsewhere that have shut down, that maybe have some meaning to you.
Well, unfortunately, yes, Canada like closed. Hastings Park didn't open this year. They were talking like they're gonna do like a short meet or something like I read on the website, but I'm not sure if that's official or not. But it's sad. And the other racetrack that it closed down was Norland Park. I rode it there twice. Canadian Derby, I believe, was 17 and 19, or it was 16 and 18, something like that. But that track closed, but they open a big amount track very close, whereas the airport in Alberta. But Hastings was, yeah, it's a shame.
It's it's a bummer when they're even, maybe you think about closing down Laurel, but again, you've been all over. What is it like as a jockey? I think you even have a family, going all over. Western Canada is not close to here. Talk about that. Are you staying in Canada while you're racing up there? Talk about just that travel lifestyle that you had.
Yeah, because I mean, being a single is very easy. How you say now I have family and I am locked. But before we in family, being single it was easy, and I was always a guy that really liked to travel. And how I say, I went Australia, I went to Arabia for a week. I did not like it, so I turned them back. And then while I was waiting for approved visa to come to US, and I meet somebody, like I introduce myself with an agent in Canada, and I flew Canada and I tried. I think it was a very good start because also from the same place Mario Gutierrez was from, and I think Mario Gutierrez actually got a really good move from Canada, and I said, well, see, if this is my bridge to US, I'm happy to do it, and I learned a little bit more about American races, and that how I started in Canada pretty good.
And I absolutely love Canada. I've gone to Woodbine. I guess I mean, have you raced at Woodbine? And what do you think of Canada as a whole? It's so beautiful. I mean, it gets cold, but again, the nature, it's absolutely gorgeous, I think. But what do you think of just Canada as a whole? And maybe did you race at Woodbine as well?
Canada is pretty good. I actually went vacation a couple times the both season that I did, and in the size where the Vancouver is the BC, that's awesome. You can see a lot of things about mountain. I went for a place that they call Wisher, where is the somebody don't know is where they film the Jamaican movie where they go down in the Trineo or something like that. It was a special place where they compete for the Olympic there in the winter. And after that, I did Goodwine only for a month. Unfortunately, in the year that I was there, I was allowed to race everywhere except in Goodwine. It was a different kind of law for the states. They give me a license, 4A license they call. I was only allowed to ride for American honor. And I didn't know any American honors. So in that moment, I started working for Martin Drexler. It was a trainer there. In that moment, was Gene Manson, but the trainer was Martin Drexler. And I have a lot of fun. It was really nice play. Goodman is beautiful racetrack. Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Was very cold. I get there at the end of October and I leave about the beginning of December, and it was already snowing and it was very, very cold.
Oh, it can be brutal. But I guess again, you've had to travel. It seems like you've had some, just dealing with visa issues and trying to race in competitive races has got to be a pain in the butt. How important has your, agents been over your career? I don't know if you've had multiple agents. People who've been on the show have said, how important the agent can be. Again, I think your agent now has a good relationship with Ronnie Brown. I think that can be, maybe a unique thing. But talk to me about, your agent's role and your career path, and then we'll get into the Mid Atlantic racing.
Well, actually, at home we don't have agent. I think in few places they start having now, like I'm in Argentina, maybe Brazil. I'm not sure. But my first time working with an agent, it was in Canada. The guy that was working with me, his name is Chad Overson. He was a really nice guy. He was an ex jockey, but we and he connect really well, and he made me understand pretty quick about American races, read the form, and try to set the horses in a very good position. And we're talking about a bull ring. I'm coming for a big amount track, and a bull ring is a difference. But the guy helped me a lot. And when I come in United States, and I have few agents, and I have now again Marcus Judy. He was a very important guy in my career in Charlestown in 2019, 2021. We were pretty much in the top of the career, and I failed for whatever reason that I have for again for visas and everything. But we back together, we had, and I expect very good thing with him. I mean, the agent is very important. Sometimes the writer write because you have this agent, and sometimes they write because it's you. But the agent is very, very, very important. At home, it doesn't matter if you have an agent or not. They will write because you are whoever you are. But here, the connection with the agent is very important. I believe is 80% of the connection.
That's so interesting, and you can obviously you've been able to navigate Ronnie Brown and several different trainers. Again, how difficult or again, do you like riding for a bunch of different trainers, or would you like to stick with just one, or talk about that that trainer jockey relationship and that whole 9 yards.
Ronnie was very important in my beginning of Charlestown because he gave me a very good opportunity and we won a lot of races. That connection maybe jumps and let some more people know me because when you ride for a trainer like Ronnie Brown as a second, third, as a leading trainer, it's very important. And then looking at you is as a different way. And I'm very happy to ride for Ronnie all the time. He's a nice guy.
He's a legend. Again, we love him. We're so thankful that we send horses to him. Also, we'll talk Desante Bay here in a second. But what do you think has made Ronnie successful this year? He's been knocking on the door, but right now he seems to be pushing all the buttons. He has a great room of jockeys. Obviously, you're a huge face of it. He trusts your opinion so much. Talk about what's making this year good or even great for him and his barn.
Well, I mean, I believe Ronnie deserved it like whatever else does too. But Ronnie been investing in the business a lot since I've been here. He been growing and growing more and growing a lot, and that is very important. I hope we have more trainers like Ronnie Browns, like they are investing in the state, investing in Charleston. That is very very important for us.
He loves Charlestown. It's his home track, and I'm hoping that he can honestly really win the trainers town or the trainers title this year. But again, a little bit an interesting question just going into the actual jockey life. You guys wear those boots all the time. You guys look fresh in them. But how can you run in them? Talk about that the wardrobe of the boots. Are they just for looks? Do they give you any support? Yeah, just talk to me about the equipment that you're wearing.
Well, I don't know where exactly the racing book start, but they are pretty similar everywhere. You have a different kind of quality, light, heavier, or something like that. I'm popular using Castillo all the time. For me, they are the best quality. They hold a lot, and I feel pretty comfortable with that. Fit me, my feet perfect. So I like those. They are not really good for work in the morning. They are pretty much racing book. I believe morning boots they have the same brand, but they are different quality. Racing boot is just but for racing, nowhere else.
Can you like walk around like, on the road in them, or, do they give you not that much
I
support at
mean,
all?
you can, but the sole is not too strong. The sole have to be soft, and I mean, you can use it for walk or whatever, but it's not the best option.
No, and again, I'm new to a lot of the racing stuff, so I think it's interesting. And when I'm watching all these different races, sometimes I'm seeing like the starter. Sometimes he's like standing on the track, sometimes he's like sitting up, sometimes he's behind the rail. You know, Talk to me about, can you even see the starter when you're in the gate? And have you ever been in a race where the starter's like on the track? I think that guy's like crazy when he's standing right there. He's gonna get run into. But talk to me about maybe the different positions that you've seen the starter in. Yeah, around the globe.
Listen, being in the track, I believe for the starter is no fun. I mean, the starter have to be the other side of the fence. That is what I believe. I never been in the starter position. But actually, a few weeks ago, I texted a friend at home, and he is a starter, and he used like a stair behind the defense, and I feel the first time with a back boy broke into the fence and they ran him over. He broke, yeah, he broke his foot and everything. It's no easy job being right there. I mean, it doesn't. I believe in United States the fence is a little stronger and wider than we use at home, but I wouldn't be if I have to be a starter. I wouldn't be in the track. I would be always the other side of the fence.
That is so scary. Is he all right?
Yeah, yeah, he's all right. He's gonna get the surgery, I believe, in a few days, but he was fine. Yeah, he hurt, but fine.
That is so interesting. And again, you've ridden some, maybe just going even to Charleston. How strong is the rail when you're going up? Do you skim it? Does it have any give to it, or is it pretty firm that rail? Is it pretty hard to break too?
Yeah, the one is in Charlestown is pretty similar that we got in Vancouver, and that rail will not broke. You're gonna come back, or the horse gonna flip over, but you're not gonna break it.
That is so crazy that the starter, you know, got basically ran over. Obviously Charleston, has been notorious for having some interesting starts. Were you in the race when I think the starter started the race without JD in the race? He was left behind the gate. Were you in that race?
I don't remember if I was in that race. I think I was one time that it happened with Montano, but I'm not remember if I was that race with JD. And I think that kind of situation happened once at home. And what happened at home one day, a horse flipping the gate, used to be behind the gate, used to be a manual hanger. It was like a hanger really long from the top, and the horse flipped, and the guy coming back and he grabbed himself from that hanger and he opened the gate and they racing. But it was an accident, it was not on purpose. But I believe the hanger now and the new system of the gate is not working, but listen, being in the gay is no easy show for the start because everybody's yelling, everybody's screaming, the horses getting crazy. When the horses are quiet, it's easy, but when they start moving and we're fighting and everybody say, hold on, you wanna try to break the best possible, and sometimes you not break that as well that you expect to.
No, that's so interesting. And obviously, you race, basically all over the Mid Atlantic. Are the gates pretty similar at every single track, or is that again? I play basketball, play soccer. Different courts have different things. It's something that's as simple as the gate. Different, and the starter. His tendencies different at all these tracks. Is that something you have to learn too?
Well, actually, the routine is the same. When one of the last whole load map, you gotta be ready to race. Some starter weigh a little bit more than others, but that depends of the situation of the gate too. I believe when it's full gate, 10 horses, 12, 14 is more difficult. So I don't say it's an easy job. It's just very difficult, and some guys maybe has more luck than the others at that. But it's difficult to explain me how they feel.
And again, people make mistakes too, so you just never know. Um, what is going to. Are you going to ride at Colonial Downs this year?
Yeah, I expect the right few. Yes.
So in a day, is a typical day? Sometimes you're riding at Laurel and then going to Charlestown. Do you like it when you're doubling up, or would you like to just stay at Charlestown one day? Or obviously you're probably logging a lot of miles in the car, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like a 45,000 mile per year, and I like it better when Colonial Down was racing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The rest of the day I use in Charlestown. Um, Race two tracks same day is difficult. I did once three different track. I rode on Laurel, Pin National, or last race at Charlestown. That day was very long, very difficult. I believe I ride second in in the three of the tracks. I couldn't win, but it's no easy. It's more stressful on the traffic than it is on the races or when you do that.
That is so tough. And again, we'll get into a little more horse questions here in a second. But what are you doing when you're driving? I mean, I'm a big podcast guy. You listen to music, Dennis. What are you doing on your drives to and from the track?
I'm very Pascal guy too, very all the time.
Nice, nice. Again, are you listening to music though? When you're
No,
driving?
no, no, not really music. Very few time music. I do more podcast than anything else.
What podcast are you listening to?
I usually do cycling, nutritions, and sometimes news. Depends how it goes, how I like, how I feel.
I love that. Hey, you got to get to maybe some Joe Rogan. That's who I like a lot. But no, I really appreciate all this, Dennis. At Charlestown, who or even wherever, who gives the least amount of instructions as the trainer, and who gives maybe the most amount of instructions, and kind of what are your thoughts on all that? Because you ride for so many different trainers.
No, usually I don't have too many people that they give me too many instructions. I mean, they know that the style, the rider that I am. So when they give me to ride a horse, they know pretty much the plan. Sometimes you send some trying to say, listen, I really would like this horse to be in front. I believe it was last week that I won the race for Galipsi, Ryan. And he told me, said, I really would like to be in front. He said, I think this field is going to be different. So it was my first time riding her. So I said, okay, if we break good, we go. She broke awesome. We got in the lead and she win wire to wire. Sometimes you need to follow those instructions. I like every time that when they give me some instruction, I follow the as I can. But sometimes they says like this plan said you need to be in front. If you not break good, you're not gonna be in front. I mean, it's just plan B, and sometimes some people like it, sometimes some people not. And Howard says, as a jockey, and if you ask everybody, everybody wants to break good from the gate. And I believe you ask all the rider, and all the rider wanna break in front, and but it's not happen all the time.
Definitely, and that's so interesting. That hey, the instruction worked out last time. The plan, you never know when it's going to work out. What distances do you like? I mean, it seems like you can win from anywhere, Dennis, from the 4.5 to the longer. Again, what distances maybe your favorite to kind of be crafty? But yeah, talk to me about the different distances at Charlestown, maybe, and what is your favorite one?
I don't think I have a favorite one. Maybe seven furlong. I've been okay, 6.5 too. Long as it doesn't matter. I believe for me the most difficult race is 4.5. But I've been actually adapting more year by year. But I believe the first year when I was racing 4.5 was the most difficult distance for me because in Vancouver they don't ride 4.5. They do, I think, three and a half, 2 years old, few races, but the majority is 6.5, a mile and a piece, a mile and eight. That's the majority of the race, but most races 6.5.
And one of my favorite races, I think, was at Seven Furlongs with you with Head Lad. Again, I don't know how Head Lad is doing right now, but at his peak, you had him rolling. Do you remember any of the Head Lad races? And did Ronnie even give you any instructions? It feels like you got to know that horse pretty well at his peak.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Brown was pretty clear, and he actually likes to be in the race. So when I've been riding for Ronnie Brown since I came in Charleston, so I know what he likes, and he also know that I will do the job.
Oh, he does, and he trusts you. I mean, he's been through a lot of different. He's worked with a lot of different jockeys, but you have stuck with him. He has stuck with you, and you stuck with him. It's been a great partnership. What has kind of made that relationship, or talk about that relationship. In the beginning, and maybe you got to talk about that relationship as a whole too.
I believe when I started racing for Ronnie Brown, I came in a perfect position because it was like a not really a main guy in that moment, and I jump and he likes me, I like him too, and we start a early success. We understand each other since the beginning, so that was easier for the part of our relationship.
No, I love that. Again, we obviously we love Ronnie, and we'll talk about Luna Bell here. I want to talk about Doorbuster, but Desante Bay, and I think Luna Bell's first race even got third place, and hey, Desante Bay got third place in the first race. Came from last to first. Talk about that whole race. You guys were in the gate forever. I was watching it. I was like, man, they're gonna have to. I hope he doesn't fall asleep in the gate because you guys were in there for so long. The other horses took for so long to get in the gate. It felt like. But talk about that whole race day, the workouts, and that horse, as a whole.
Well, I mean, it's just situation that happen in the races sometimes, I mean, sometimes everything goes smooth, sometimes it gets a little slow. That's how it is, But the most important thing is just try to be quiet and wait for the moment and the heck with it. Yeah.
Was he okay in the gate?
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, it was no problem at all.
Nice. I mean, again, no. I mean, I've never really seen a Ronnie Brown horse with no blinkers on, so I was like, wow, this is what the horse's face looks like. But
Uh, I, I, I mean, sometimes first time out, you have to see what he likes or no. Maybe the next race he's gonna be in blinkers. You never know.
and hey, that's interesting. But again, did you think that race was pretty impressive? I mean, you guys seem like you guys kissed the rail, at times. But were you? I mean, I know I messaged you about it, but yeah, just share maybe for the viewers, about your experience during that race.
No, I mean he was pretty good, pretty professional. I think for the first time out, it was a great race.
Come on, we're coming back. Hey, we're coming back for the throne. But again, 2020 and 2021 was like a big couple of years, for you. Again, the world was shutting down, going crazy. Seems like COVID affected a lot of people, but what made things go so well for you during those years?
Well, in that moment when they kind of started to reopening after the pandemic, and I was really looking to race on the grass. So with Champ was an opportunity, and the Colonial Down, Mr. Figan was giving me some opportunity, and actually we meet Hammy Smith and the receiving band was working with Ollie Figan, and actually my wife in that moment was knowing Hammy too. He was looking for an exercise rider to help in the morning, and I said, "Listen, I said I'm no exercise rider, I'm a jockey, but if you need some help when I'm here helping Ollie or whoever is in the receiving band, I'm happy to help you." So that day I get few horses for him. He tried to pay me. I said, "Listen," I said, "don't pay me, just put me in the back cap. I know you have a jockey, but just naming me in back caps, and if we get the opportunity, we get the opportunity." And everything was right. We won with Oli the first week, and I believe the second and the third week of Colonial Dam, I started racing for Hammy Smith, and everything was right. We were winning, 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 and every, everything started opening it up. And in that moment, I connect with the agent, and I moved for Loro too in the same moment. We were not racing a Loro in that moment, was Pimlico open because Loro was fixing the racetrack, and that was the begin and the champs and that sort of, yeah.
No, you were killing it in those couple of years, and obviously that's I love that you're able to know and navigate these different tracks. I wish I could ask you more about Colonial Down. Obviously, most of my questions are going to be about Charlestown right now, but again, feel free to talk about any experiences you had at those other tracks. But in 2021, you did win on Doorbuster. I believe going up the rail. Again, it seems like you're brave out there, Dennis. Braver than me. You know, I guess talk to me about Doorbuster. Going up the rail, and if you remember, maybe the Sylvia Bishop in 2021, or even just Doorbuster as a whole. That horse.
Well, Doorbusters sat in a perfect position right there. We were behind the lead, and we were no go to where. We just need to wait and wait, and the leader come out a little bit the rear, and she come through. She was flying at the end. She was a very nice filly, and that makes me. It was actually easy job, but was just need to wait. It was I said there was no room to go nowhere, and I was just hoping in that that little hole open up, and it will open up. She respond, and she come by through.
Again, I'm gonna have to clip that video and put your response because that hole was so small. Do you remember in that moment when at the closest moment, how close are you to that jockey right next to you? Are you like you can elbow him right there? Or do you remember being so close to the other jockey?
Yeah, we were close. We were close, and actually, he come out a little bit. I don't know if he come out a little bit because he was trying to switch the lead or something. And I yelled on him, and he watching on me like a little surprised because it was not too much room, but it was enough to pass. So when you have a horse, this is what happened. When you're waiting for a hole and your horse is faster than the hole, you're gonna make it. The problem is when the hole is faster than the action of your horse has, you're never gonna make it. That makes the difference when you come through and win or not.
You guys are thinking so quickly. And again, and on that turn, you guys were just bottled up. What a race. Again, was Doorbuster, have a great career, or was that kind of a? Did you know that it was going to be brave going into that race, though? Did you know you had a chance? And talk to me about maybe the future of Doorbuster at all.
Yeah, in that moment, Doorbuster was breathing really well. She was a very, very, very nice filly, and she actually was full of power that day. So she won a easy race. I can say. I mean, it was like a wedding situation for that, but when she rolls them. Yeah.
That is an awesome feeling. And again, if you go on Equibase, you can't help. I mean, your name is like connected with Luna Bell. Again, what an amazing career. You're messaging me five straight, stakes wins in a row. I mean, that is, incredible. Just the steady progression. But talk to me about, Luna Bell and again, another horse that you had no business winning on because you were so far away. It was incredible watching some of those races. But, talk about, that horse and maybe how you were even, put onto that horse in the very beginning.
Well, it says in that moment when I moved into Maryland, I was riding for Jaime Smith pretty much first call, and Caramano was racing on Luna Bell, and he was always hoping more like she was doing, and he was always telling me, and one moment we get opportunity, and she won the first stake with me, and after that she won four more in a row. She was an amazing filly. She was. I will tell you the only time that I really raised her that I didn't know if she was winning or not was one day when she ran a mile flat that they were telling me to run a little bit closer like she was racing because she was always closing from pretty much last. And that day we put in close and she was different. I mean, she won, but she was not winning like we expect, and she was showing. And after that, I was just racing how I thought she was the better performance, and she was nice. She was very nice, filly.
And I wish I had the exact name. I think it was called like the Y County Stakes. Do you remember that race? And yeah, do any one of those stake races stand out to you as like you were like, again, you're pretty stoic, that were like, you were the most pumped up. Maybe which one was your favorite of all of them?
Um, all of them was pretty much the favorites. I believe I really don't remember the name right now. Sorry for that. But I believe one day she won seven furlong, almost with sun hit on her. She was just flying, man. She was in a moment like her level was so high compared with the competition in that moment. Like she was doing that for fun. She was bracing. Yeah.
Again, when they're going so fast at the end and they hit the wire and they're really, maybe hitting their top speed, is it a tough thing to slow them down? Sadly, one of our horses that we had, did get injured after the wire. How do you, properly slow down a horse? I mean, that was a bullet train, I mean, every single time, talk about maybe slowing that horse down, after the wire.
Well, we just, I mean, everyone pull them up in a different way. Also, the horses, some horses pass the wire and like to pull them up close, and some horses gallop a little more. And it's just depend of the race too. Sometimes they get a little more tired. When the track is a little deeper or slower, they get more tired and they don't have too much rest after the wire. And some horses they pass the wire and then they take them off again.
Like, woo. And begin not to ask a scary question, but obviously you're in great health right now. Knock on wood. Has there been any scary falls that you survived that you remember, and maybe anybody that you really think has like saved your life out there that you want to maybe give credit to, whether it's a good starter or whoever. I was asking Justin Lewis, and he was saying a good starter will save your life, and I was like, wow, I really felt that. I was like, that's also scary at the same time, but any scary situation that you've been in that you maybe really avoided that you're thankful for.
Oh, I always thank for everything. I mean, when you fall, oh, the most scary part that I've been when you fall is when you cannot catch the breeze as quick as you expect. That's a very scary part because sometimes when you fall, I believe your body do natural. You pretty much play all the air out and you try to catch the breeze back. That is very, very, very scary part. I remember one day I fell off in the middle of the turn and somebody come and open the strap that we use for the for the helmet and try to open the silk. So they also cannot touch you too much when you fall off that way because they don't know how you are till the doctors come. But the most scary part is when you cannot catch the airbag as quick as you expect.
Man, that is, and I remember when I was playing soccer and I got mine air knocked out, and I was like, I thought I got attacked, and it was just a slide tackle. Um, but again, I really am thankful that you've been healthy out there. Of the couple different tracks in the Mid Atlantic, do you have one that is your favorite?
Not really, but I believe I feel more comfortable in Colonial Down than nowhere else. I mean, it's like a riding at home. It's the most close similitude that I feel. So for me, riding in Colonial, I can tell you if you put me in a horse and it close my eye, I will ride perfectly even seeing or not.
I love that. And it seems like I was listening to another podcast. I want to ask you maybe about Tyler Connor if you were there that day. But him and his jockey, they absolutely love Colonial Downs. Everyone seems to talk so highly of Colonial Downs. It doesn't seem to race that often, but what makes Colonial Downs so awesome? Again, their turf course supposedly is in amazing shape all the time.
I mean, it's just a different racetrack. Like how I says, it's the most similitude that I have from home. The track is very nice. I believe the grass is one of the top in the country, and that is very good and make you just feels a little better.
On a normal day, is like the dirt at Laurel, the dirt at Charlestown, like the dirt anywhere is pretty similar.
I'm not sure about the mix. I don't think it's anyone close. Maybe Charleston is closest than Laurel because Laurel is usually deep track and it's not a quick. Colonial Down was very fast. It's fast track. So Charleston maybe is the most close than when you compare with Laurel and Charleston.
Interesting. And I'll say I really did like Tyler Connor as well. Were you there the day that he got injured and had to get the helicopter out of there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I was there. I also we spent the night before together with few more friends having dinner together. Connor was right there. We were talking fine, and we're talking next day about the races that we have and everything like that. Like usually the jockey talks, and next day have the unfortunately with him, and I'm really sad, man. It was really bad. It was not nice. Yeah.
That was seems so scary. And I came in like a couple races after, and like it was like whoa, or even maybe it was even the next day, but it was everyone was still like reeling, from it. Seems like he's a cool guy, and an up and comer. You know, I guess talk about that relationship that you had with him, and I don't know if he's going to ride again, but talk about that relationship, I guess, a little bit with Tyler Connor, and again how scary that was having the helicopter come in there. That's crazy to have a helicopter have to come to the races.
Yeah, Tyler is a very nice guy. I mean, sometimes you see him, he look like he's quiet, he doesn't talk too much, but it's a very, very nice person. I mean, I don't know him like how he's in the house or whatever, like he's with his friends, but as a jockey, he's a very nice mate. We miss Tyler. He's a very nice guy. And that day in the accident, after the accident, it was like a silent in the shock room because when some accident happened, you say, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it was moment like everybody see like it was a very bad fall, and you get like a little silent. I say, oh shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a bad part that day. They canceled the race of the car, and everybody was not feeling well. It's not a feeling like you want to see a friend or a guy that you meet, uh, that you know him you get the hurt. You never want to know that, even if you like the guy, or my respect about every rider. If I don't want no one hurt, no one.
You want to be able to drive up to the races and you want to be able to drive home, you know.
Well, we always says you win when you walk home. It's a winner. Coming back home healthy is part of our rules, and I says if you walk home, you still winning. Even if you not winning the race time, you win your life. You go home.